Welcome back to another episode of Colony Drop, a Gundam podcast. My name is Brian.
And my name is Isaac. This is your favorite Gundam podcast where we talk about anything and everything that has to do with Gundam, whether that's the models, also known as Gunpla, Gundam music like the intros and outros, movies, anime series, the ships, the capital ships. Oh my god, there's so many capital ships in every Gundam series. And the mobile suits, the lore, ideas, we do it all. Isn't that right, Brian?
That is correct, Isaac. And today it's a follow-up episode.
Oh.
Last time we did top 5 emblems, Isaac, and today I guess we're going to do the bottom 5, the worst of the worst.
The worst. The ones that the designer at 4:45 p.m. he remembered he had to do them, so he threw together a design.
Have you found a list of at least 5 sufficiently bad emblems?
I went one further. I found an honorable mention. I might even lead with that. We'll see when we get there. But there was one that, because of the way things went, I had to give them an honorable mention.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
I have two honorable mentions. Yeah, we should definitely start with those.
Oh, wonderful.
I guess before we do this, I do want to give a disclaimer. Some emblems have a lot more time put into them than others.
Oh, absolutely.
And this is not meant to be disparaging the artists who worked on these emblems, but this is just meant to be like, some emblems just don't kind of measure up compared to some other ones.
I'll have to add on to that statement just a little bit, Brian, and say we might not want to disparage any one artist, but at a certain point, a decision maker said, that's the emblem, symbol, or logo we're going to go with. And
Certainly.
it was not a good idea.
Right. And we don't necessarily know the context behind the decision, right?
Yeah.
For all we know, the designer, like we said last week, Toshiro-san, in like 1992, they gave him like 10 minutes and they said, hey, can you come up with an emblem? He did it on a napkin. He turned it in. So poor guy does not deserve to be ragged on by some other, some guys in the United States 30 years later. But that doesn't necessarily change the fact that perhaps that emblem should have been better.
Yeah, definitely. Boy, I don't know if it's even a cultural difference really, but some of these emblems, the finished product, I just have so many questions. Like, is this the result of design by committee? In which case, there's blame to go around. Or was it really one person who was like, well, this is what we're going to do? And in which case, and that was a bad idea. But we'll never know. There's never going to be a documentary into like the logos of Gundam.
Nope. This is as close as you're going to get, listeners, right here.
If in the future of this podcast, Ryan, we somehow pull off the ability to start doing documentaries about logos and emblems and symbols, wow, our reach will have far exceeded our wildest expectations.
What if someone listens to this and then we end up interviewing some important Gundam person and that person ends up being the designer of that logo and he finds out and he's just like, I heard you didn't like the, like hero's crest. He storms off the stage.
I don't know. I'd be very curious. Like, maybe he'll say, yeah, I wasn't happy with it, but they told me, that's what we're doing. Then we'd be like, oh, wow, who told you? The investigation continues.
There you go.
But, I mean, getting back to kind of logos and emblems themselves, symbols, in many ways, these are very much, I think, for fans, akin to mobile suits, and everybody's got their favorites. Everybody's got styles they like. Everybody's got certain factions that they really rooted for or thought were cool, or from Gundam series that were their favorites. So if you're into really, the series beyond just the mecha, you definitely do get sort of a bit of a passion and definite interest in the emblems themselves, right, Brian?
Oh, absolutely. Especially something I was thinking about, Isaac, is like sometimes perhaps they didn't put a lot of thought into an emblem because maybe they didn't think that it would really take off. And then if it ends up being a hit, all of a sudden everybody's looking at your emblem and buying all this merchandise and you can't change it because you already put it on there. And it's like, oh no, my emblem is a circle because I didn't have time to do anything else. And then everyone like us is picking it apart, being like, well, I don't know why he has a circle and, not like an ornate flag or something. So
right.
that could play into it too, like that maybe they just didn't really think it was going anywhere. And then 30 years later, someone's still watching their show and they're like,
yeah.
God, like you weren't supposed to look that close.
Exactly. So to hone in on that point, back in the day when some of these symbols were made, it was for a cartoon that was designed to sell plastic to children. And these symbols appeared on the sides of ships and mobile suits that were seen on big box TVs that had like transistors and cathodes in them. The footage was kind of grainy, but it was not meant to be seen in the year 2025, 50 years after the series originally launched in 4K.
Yeah.
But here we are.
Here we are. So with that, Isaac.
Doing what they didn't want us to do. But yes.
Exactly.
Continue, Brian. We'll kick off with the honorable mentions, or I guess dishonorable mentions, since this is a top 5 worst emblem episode.
Dishonorable mentions, I like it. Okay.
Dishonorable mentions.
I have 2. I don't think my dishonorables are that dishonorable, but I did put them on the list for a reason. So the first one I put on this list because it just seems really low effort in comparison. This organization has 2 logos, and that organization is Gjallarhorn from Iron Blooded Orphans.
Oh my god. How dare you?
The logo that we see in the show is like the griffin thing with the, like coat of arms or whatever. That's very regal. I like that. That's fine. It's great.
Right, yeah.
But the original logo only appears on Gundam Bale's shoulder.
Oh my god.
It looks like a little horn of Gondor type of thing.
Yeah.
They don't really show it any more than that. They kind of hide it from the viewer. And I just think it looks like a children's drawing compared to the other logo. Like, it's like a napkin doodle. And I don't know, maybe they show it more in like the side stories. Listeners, if you've read some of those and then they can bring up this logo, let us know. But the newer logo is much more regal, much more in charge. It looks more suitable for an organization of their type. And the only reason this didn't make my actual list is I'm willing to overlook this one day, Isaac, if they give us a suitable backstory. Perhaps the original Gjallarhorn was a modest organization, maybe they came from simple means. Maybe it was just scientists or something, and this is what they had, for a very long time, and they kept it. And I would be willing to accept that. But by itself, as it is, it's just very, very simple, and it almost doesn't look finished.
Yeah, this very much looks like a kid's doodle. Like, it looks like a horn, and then maybe they try drawing a crown on the mouth part of the horn, but it's kind of minimalist in not a good way. Yeah, this is half-baked.
It looks like something that you would see in a children's highlights magazine.
Wow. Find the horn.
Yeah, exactly.
Brian, for our listeners, explain what highlights magazine.
Highlights is if you don't have highlights.
Magazine is.
Oh, that's true. If you don't have highlights, if you don't have highlights in here, it's like a children's magazine. It has little, stories and little find of hidden picture type of things and whatnot, and little craft things you can do with your kids. And back when Isaac and I were little, they had them in doctor's offices, and you could sit there and read them while you were waiting.
Yeah, because back when Brian and I were children, there were no cell phones. If you were in the dentist's office in the waiting room, you had to hope there was something you could hold in your hands and read.
Highlights was a goddamn luxury, is what I'm saying, Isaac. So that's dishonorable mention number 1. I just think without some explanation, it's overly simple, and the modern logo has so much more time put into it. I don't understand why this one doesn't have as much time put into it as well.
Yeah, I don't even know what to think about this. It's not good. I mean, granted, this is like a cell from a small image, but
That's really the only place it appears, is on Gundam Bale's. I think it's his left shoulder.
I'm glad the 7-star families or 6-star families had the logic and the the foresight to really upgrade the logo, because the final logo we see in the actual series, Iron Blooded Orphans, it's great, I think.
No, exactly. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's got power to it, very majestic, very European kind of heraldry. It's great. I also often think it looked like it'd be like the great logo of a company from Europe that makes Danish pastries or something. But yeah.
I would buy a pastry from Gjallarhorn Donuts.
I have to say though, this definitely earned a spot on the dishonorable mentions.
All right, dishonorable mention number 2.
Let's hear it.
So the reason why this didn't make the actual list is I think by itself, it's actually a pretty good logo. But this is the Oz Space Force emblem, and it's an upside down triangle, black in the middle with a gold border, and then in front of it is a profile view of the Tin Man from Oz, like the land of Oz from the Wizard of Oz.
Oh my god, that's what it is?
Yes. So here's the thing. It's a cool logo. The problem is it's leaning into the wrong motif, Isaac. Oz in Gundam Wing is the organization of the Zodiac. And as far as I know, the Land of Oz from the Wizard of Oz has nothing to do with the Zodiac. The Land of Oz has Munchkins, Winkies, Filikins, Quadlings, witches. None of that is what Oz from Gundam Wing is about. That's about the Zodiac. And I don't think the two have anything in common other than, I'm guessing perhaps a lot of people who like Wizard of Oz also like astrology, which is totally false, by the way, listeners. If you disagree with that, come at me. I don't care.
How dare you?
Bet all the 00 fans love astrology. But it's leaning into the wrong motif, and I think it's confusing. There's so much you could make logos out of based on the Zodiac.
Okay.
Just lean into the right motif. Go with that. Don't confuse the word Oz.
So this almost made it to my dishonorable mentions list. And I was looking at it and I was like, what is that? I couldn't
Yeah.
for the life of me know what it was. I thought to myself, okay, it must be a woodpecker of some kind. Or like maybe like a court jester or something. You
Yeah.
know, it's got like a kind of a party hat and
Right.
all my fellas are just all Europeans. So it was like, oh, they're kind of our jesters in space, you know, or something like that.
Because the Leo performance makes you laugh.
I don't know, because everyone in space is a joke compared to their power or something. Who knows? But man, the Tin Man. Where did you read that it's the Tin Man?
I think I had to find that in some Reddit comments because I was looking at it, I was like, what the hell is this thing? And that's why I don't like it, because it's confusing. Because I'm looking at it thinking, okay, this is Oz. What does this have to do with Oz? Is it like some sort of soldier that's in a cold climate type? But why does he have a pointy nose? Why does he have a pointy hat? And then someone was like, oh, it's a Tin Man.
Yeah.
And it's for Oz. And I was like, oh, that's kind of neat, but that's the wrong Oz entirely.
It's terrible. And I couldn't tell you when we saw this at all during the show. It almost only exists in the wiki to my recollection.
I saw some screenshots where it did seem to appear once or twice, but
Really?
I don't think it was anywhere in focus that you really would have noticed it, without looking closely.
Well, it looks cool, but horribly inappropriate. I agree. It earns a spot.
What is your dishonorable mention, Isaac?
Okay. This one earned a spot kind of for failing. Well, no, literally for failing to actually have an official emblem, to actually have an official symbol other than a white piece of cloth around their arm. And this dishonorable mention goes to White Fang, which, as popular as Gundam Wing is, White Fang does not have a symbol, a flag, an emblem. Really, during the start of what they call the Artemis Revolution, led by White Fang, their only symbol is really a piece of white cloth that a lot of their little revolutionaries put around their arm. And that's it.
Oh, wow.
So White Fang, as hyped, as loved as Gundam Wing is, really dropped the ball in not giving one of the most important factions in the series a symbol, an emblem, or anything visually recognizable.
Wow, I did not know that. That's crazy.
It's crazy, right? Like, as critical as they were, they kind of become the final enemy.
Yeah, I think if you're going to make a Gundam show, I think it's table stakes to make an emblem for your faction.
Yeah. Everybody gets a faction in Gundam. The smallest faction to the most powerful superpower. But no, not here.
I know Trey's has like a white wolf thing, right?
I guess.
But yeah, I guess maybe the actual faction doesn't have one. That's pretty strange. You would think maybe they just didn't have time, right? Because they were like, all right, White Fang, like activate, and someone in the back was like, I'm not done with the flag yet, and they're like, screw it, we don't have time.
Hang on, didn't have time. The Gundams were built over like 20 years. Keynes was sitting around waiting for like the actual Operation Meteor to start. He had so much time to make a symbol.
That's true.
But no.
Maybe they just had bad priorities.
They saw the Tin Man and they're like, oh, we can't beat that.
Do you think it's because they purposely didn't want to have one because they were like secretive for a long time?
I thought about that, and that's a good argument, but at the same time, like, just because your organization's secret doesn't mean you wouldn't want a symbol, especially when they, like, publicly announce themselves, and essentially unite all the colonies. So that's when you absolutely need a symbol, like something on a flag to wave around. Every revolution has that.
Yeah, it makes you more legit, too, right? If you have something to show for it, yeah.
But instead, just a name and the color white around their arm. Doesn't really cut it.
That's not even a bad emblem. That's just, you're just, like, shaming the organization at this point.
Yeah, and white around the arm usually means like, you're for peace or
right.
Non-aggression, something like that,
Yeah, they were anything but peaceful.
All right, Brian. I guess now we're actually at the list. We'll be starting from the top to bottom or bottom up?
Yeah. This is the least bad of the bottom emblems.
Okay, I like that. That's how I want to do it too.
Okay, so this one, it shows up on a list of Gundam emblems. It's been very long since I've seen what I have seen of Turn A Gundam. But the first least bad one on my list is the emblem for Loran Sehak, the main character of Turn A Gundam. It is like his little toy fish. It's like this little orange striped toy fish. And he has like a toy fish in the show. It's been a very long time since I've watched that part of Turning Gundam, if I even got that far. So I reserve the right to change my stance on this. If on the rewatch, I just love it, which I believe I am going to love that show. That said, I feel like it's cute, but it's not as cute as Haro. And I think perhaps it's more confusing. Haro, I feel like you can love at first sight. even if you really don't know anything about Gundam. But this toy fish, I'm not really sure. I honestly didn't even know what the hell it was when I first looked at it. Maybe it's charming in the series, but I wouldn't want this to become an emblem associated with my character or put on my suit. Maybe you could sell it as like a charm or a keychain.
Let alone a Gundam.
Yeah, exactly. And so given the subject material and the place in the canon, I need a better logo. There is the White Doll logo, which I think he wears a jacket with that on the back, which I think is pretty cool. But even that, I'm not sure that the White Doll logo is, I need something on par with Amuro's logo, Isaac.
Next to the fishing symbol.
Next to the fish, White Doll looks like $1 million.
The white, oh, absolutely. But the fish toy, it almost looks like a fishing lure. Right?
It might be, I don't know. But it's bigger in the show. The fish lure is very small. If you look at the clip of him with the toy in the show, it's about the size of his hand, if I recall.
Well, Brian, this is far in the future. You have no idea how big fish have gotten.
That's true. Maybe fish are just effing enormous in the future. But yeah, the White Doll logo is much more of a silhouette of the turning Gundam with a kind of like an exaggerated, thicker mustache. So that kind of looks more intimidating.
Boy, this came from left field, but man, that is... If you put that on a Gundam, the show should be canceled. Because that, in no way, can, carry the honor and prestige of what a Gundam is if you put a goddamn fish on the side of your Gundam.
It's not the best.
It looks like a magic carp. It's a magic carp.
Yeah, it does look very Japanese, yeah.
Yeah, you know how much they like their koi and their goldfish.
Yep. All right, Isaac, what's the first one on your list?
Okay. The number 5 from, worst to most worst goes to our buddies down in AEUG, which, for all you fans who haven't seen Zeta yet, stands for the Anti-Earth Union Group, AEUG. I guess maybe saying AEUG. Oh, there's people say it different ways. Almost a bit Scottish or Gaelic there. But yes, if you look at this symbol, my God, it looks like a junior high school student was told to draw the solar system. And this is kind of what they drew. Because there's the body in the middle, a loop, another small body in space, and then a circle. It's the most bland symbol, and at the same time, a symbol that's hard to draw. I don't think anybody would be able to draw it from memory that quickly, which is bad for a symbol. A symbol should be something that's kind of easy to recognize. This, I can see people maybe moving the circles a little too far to the left or the right. It's a poorly designed symbol. I know a lot of fans might jump in and say, oh, clearly it's designed to be the Earth sphere, or it's the Earth and the Moon. How can this be a bad symbol? Hear me out. This is the equivalent of a country, say North America became one country, which hopefully doesn't happen, but that's another podcast. If North America became one country, and the symbol, the flag for this new country, is just the outline of North America. That's just so stupid. So thank you, AEUG. You've earned your place on... the starting of the worst emblem list.
This logo has always struck me as being very simple, but I hadn't actually thought of it in light of what you said about it being hard to remember. Because if someone said, "Oh, draw the AEUG or the AEUG logo," right? I would definitely screw up where that yellow circle is.
Yeah,
how it's sort of overlapping the white, but it's not overlapping it in the middle. It's off center, and that's probably on purpose.
Yeah.
I've always figured this had something to do with the Earth sphere, but I guess I couldn't tell you exactly what it is. I imagine the blue is the Earth. Is the yellow supposed to be the moon? Yellow is usually associated with the sun. It has to be the moon, though, right?
But the sun, it can't be smaller than the Earth.
That's my point.
Yeah, this is, again, even worse a symbol because your emblem can't look like a possible map if it was on, the wall. It has to be instantly recognizable. Like the Xeon symbol, there's no continent or constellation that looks like that. But this, if it was on the bridge, you might think they're looking at a map of their trajectory or something.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I don't mind this logo, but I agree it's kind of simple. And then I think when you place it up against the Titans logo, the Titans one's just better.
Oh my God, the Titans one, it knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
Not to backtrack to our other episode about the top emblems, but the Titan one is so good because they pulled off something pretty rare, and that's making an asymmetrical emblem look cool.
Yeah, the Titans one is so strong, so I think that actually makes this one weaker, because when you're watching the show and you have those two logos doing it out, clearly the Titans one looks better. So you want to root for that one, even though they're pretty fascist.
It's the Deathhawks versus the Science Club. That's what it looks like. It's oh no.
No wonder you guys aren't doing well.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Okay, Brian, what's on your list next for number 4?
Well, speaking of the Titans, Isaac.
Oh my God.
The next one on my list is Jared Messa's personal emblem. The reason why is it is basically just a red star that's sort of drawn lazily.
Wow.
And I don't get it. If this is going to be the personal emblem of like one of the main antagonists of Zeta Gundam, a member of the Titans and arch enemy of our protagonist Camille Badon, I need a better emblem out of him. It just looks like a lazy star. For the arch rival, for the sort of Shaw replacement, if you think he's going to be that, I need something better. Maybe the star should be dripping with blood or something. And then what are you calling yourself here? Are you the red star? That's too close to the red comet. It looks almost like a Russian cosmonaut symbol. Like, is that the intent?
Yeah.
But then I thought about it more, and then, like, since Jared kind of fails all the time, like, maybe this is kind of fitting for him. It reminds me of like the gold stars that you get in grade school, like when there's no grades, you know, where it's just like, here, have a gold star for your effort, even though your art looks like crap. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Maybe that's what this is, and he just kind of, he can't draw a star correctly, so like that's the one he drew for himself, and they said, you know, good job, Jared, you go out there and you get him. So I think it could be better. It's too basic, especially for a character of that level, and I don't like it. I expect better from the Titans. You can't put out that bird of prey logo and then come at me with a lazy red star.
I have a lot of thoughts about such a simple, poorly designed logo. I had no idea this was his symbol, and looking at it, it does strike me as like Communist Space Force. But at the same time, like, oh god, see, look, what's bad about this is, alright, you showed me like sort of the focused image, right, a close-up?
Yeah.
And then you showed me how the star looks on his flight suit, and the proportions have changed completely. You know, it's almost like sort of a slash half shooting star, and then the other one's kind of a bit more regular, but we already have kind of the worst thing with any emblem or symbol, and that is lack of consistency, which you can't do.
Yeah, and it's because they gave it like a weird angle, right? You can't, it's going to be so hard to redraw that all the time.
See, the first image, it looks kind of like a star, but they got the proportions right. Okay, I can kind of believe that. The second part, though, it's a little too long in the diagonal.
I don't know which one is supposed to be the right one.
My headcanon is that, like, his niece or his nephew made this. And Jared, since he's not that bad of a guy, he was like, all right, that'll be my symbol.
If you look at the version of it that's actually on his uniform, it almost looks too close to the Star Trek logo.
I was going to say, yeah, it's got the sort of parabolic...
The Starfleet. Yeah.
Yeah. The parabolic angle, we'll call it that. It's just, if you're going into combat, you can't just be like the red star, the crimson star, scarlet star. Oh, maybe that's what he was, a scarlet star. That would kind of work, but...
I like that, scarlet star. I could get on board with that, yeah.
Yeah. I already helped you out there, Jared. You know, the more I think about Zeta, the more I think back to the beginning, where, if you think about it, he really didn't say anything mean to Camille. Right?
Camille's just kind of a touchy guy, you know?
Kind of. He's a very sensitive guy. He attacked like a military officer near other military troops without any disregard for the repercussions, just because Jared said, Camille? Oh, I thought that was a girl's name. And then, oh boy.
And then we were off.
We'll talk about that later. I mean, he wasn't like saying, ugh, you look like a or anything like that, you know. He's like, no, you're not a girl. He almost made it like in passing comment to himself or to like another officer, I think. And he was leaving the room.
It determined the outcome of the war, Isaac.
Yeah, that was a butterfly effect situation where that single moment changed Camille's life.
Yep. It just you gotta follow that advice from Bambi, you know. If you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all.
But yeah, I can agree. This is a bad star-fleeted red star falling at a sharp diagonal.
All right, next one, Isaac.
All right, number 4 goes to a group we discussed in the last podcast. And this group, they did a bit of a symbol emblem faux pas, and that's put their name on their flag, which you almost never need to do. On top of that, they just have sort of an ugly design that I can't really even tell what it is. And this goes to the Union of Solar Energy and Free Nations from Gundam 00. If you recall, in 00, the world's divided between 3 major world powers that each control an orbital elevator was connected to like a solar power gathering, essentially orbiting point in space that gives them all their power. So the Union of Solar Energy and Free Nations is just a union of North America and South America, Australia, New Zealand, and Japan. And their symbol is just a hideous vase, I think we determined it is, Brian. It's a vase.
I have no idea. I mean, I have immediate thoughts on this logo, but yeah, go ahead.
It's a vase of some kind. It says the word Union in the middle of a blue field. There's sort of a angled, sharp motif in the middle, a blue circle in the background, and like these two red wings. This doesn't even look like a bird of prey. It doesn't look like a bird of peace. It doesn't even really look like a sword, an anchor, or anything like that. I don't even think it could be a cup, like a cup of peace or something like that.
I think it's a knife-handled candelabra.
Oh, of
or
course.
Like torch.
Nothing says an alliance of Japan, North America, South America, Australia, and New Zealand like a giant candelabra.
That's exactly what I think of.
But it's very generic, it's very ugly, and it really didn't fit the Union at all. They would have been better doing off like, I don't know, 5 stars connected with a pentagon or something. That would have screamed the United States as far as I was concerned. But here we are.
Okay, so my thought on this logo, this looks vaguely familiar. So I think I've seen this in the show, obviously. But I've never actually looked at it and looked at the word Union. This logo was close to being good, Isaac. Okay, hear me out.
Yeah.
The candelabra or whatever it is.
Sure.
From far away, it looks like a dotted eye.
Yeah.
That should be the eye in the word Union. So if they shrink it down to be the same size as where the eye is and get rid of the I letter, it could be better. I'm not saying it'd be the best logo, but
no, it would have helped.
Why is the eye there? That is the eye. Oh my God.
See, I know. They work so hard to make this motif, the symbol,
right,
symmetrical, and then you throw off the symmetry by putting 3 letters to the left and then 2 letters to the right. So it's this flag's uneven no matter which way you look at it.
Yeah, this is not the good type of asymmetry. So right now, it looks like it says Union.
Yeah, and what's bad about this too is, as we all know with the American flag and a lot of other flags, sometimes the flag's vertical. Sometimes the flag's upside down. Sometimes the flag's sideways, horizontal. Your symbol, your flag, your emblem needs to be recognizable pretty instantly. So you can't really do that if you put writing on your flag. At that point, it becomes a poorly placed sign, and your writing's at the wrong angle. So this is not a great design.
If you turn it upside down, Isaac, it would say no in.
No inu, yeah.
Yeah.
No in, no, you're right, no in.
Yeah, no in with a capital N and a lowercase n. So not the greatest.
I almost feel like if it was turned upside, I was about to say,
is it a rocket?
Like if it was turned upside down, yeah, it would be a rocket. But now that I think about it, is this supposed to be the orbital elevator, and that's the sun at the top? Oh my God.
Maybe.
But that's still ugly.
I wouldn't have got that though right away.
Yeah, why didn't you make the sun yellow?
I don't know.
And what's
it's
the red arms?
Blue.
Is the red arms?
Yeah, the space elevator doesn't have
station?
arms like that. I don't know.
Oh, it doesn't work at all. Anyways, yeah. See, if your emblem has this much of a discussion as what it is and how to improve it, it's not a good emblem.
Yeah, you need to know what it is right away, right? Like, boom.
Yeah.
Watch, someone's gonna respond to this episode, Isaac, with a critique of our logo, and I will have you know that we made our logo in Microsoft Word. So if you don't like it, no one was paid to make our logo, all right?
I hope they can tell that it's a colony.
Right, it's a colony, and the Gundam colors dropping, and drops in Xeon colors. So there you go.
If you can't, unsubscribe.
Number 3 on my list, Isaac. You're gonna hate these. I don't think you've ever seen these before because I've never seen them. This is actually a twofer.
Ooh.
These horrible logos belong to the Frost brothers from Gundam X, Shagia Frost and Ulba Frost. And I did not know they had logos, Isaac. But guess what? Here they are. Shagia's, I don't remember how to say his name. He apparently is called the Ferocious Horse.
Oh my God.
And Ulba is called Coercion Crab.
Oh my God.
Shagia's logo is just like a very angry black horse with like purple hair, and it says Ferocious Horse underneath him in like a sort of medieval, banner. And then Ulba's is similar, but his is a very menacing looking crab with silhouetted eyes and a big claw out in the front, and it's on his claw it says Coercion Crab. Isaac, these didn't age well. This I think is an example of where art was fine at the time, but looking at it now, the art is kind of dated a little bit. By itself, the art isn't actually that bad. The coercion, the crab and the coercion crab actually looks pretty cool. I kind of like that crab. But I think the text makes these a bit silly, and perhaps maybe it's the translation, particularly on coercion crab. That's not a name that you should pick. So maybe the lesson here is if it's an uncertain or awkward translation, don't use the text on your logo. Just do the crab. Let the logo speak for itself.
Right.
I guess at least for the crab, for Ulba, that makes sense based on Gundam Ashtaron, because that has that hermit crab, like, mobile armor mode. But coercion, Isaac, that's a strange thing to put in your ace pilot name. What about, like, crushing crab, or cruel crab, or crunchy crab? Coercion?
Wow, I had no idea this existed.
And then, okay, so at least the crab makes sense for him, but a horse for Gundam Versago? Is that Gundam supposed to be a horse? It has claws and wings, and the claws extend? Where's the horse?
No.
Why does one get the crab that he is, and then the other one get a horse that he's not?
Also, the alliteration, like coercion crab, that sounds okay. I mean, it's not the best, but sort of. They're both words that start with C. The alliteration. Maybe horrible horse.
Yeah, horrible horse.
Much better.
Right. That's like the Disney character, Horace Horsecollar, right?
God, these are bad. Like, I couldn't think of one time I remember seeing these in the show on the side of their Gundams. And they had like 2 different sets of Gundams.
I know. I've never seen them before. Maybe they only exist like in model kits or something, but not something to be super proud of. Although that said, I do like the actual crab. The crab is like a angry crab with like a dark mustache and dark eyes.
Yeah, they took off the coercion crab writing and kept the symbol. That would be the great symbol for like a squadron of ocean-going mobile armors from the 1 Year War.
Correct.
You know, ferocious horse though. God, that would, I don't know. That looks like the symbol of like a supply team that like they always go to the front lines. You know, because they're a bunch of pack mules or something. It's just an angry horse. Like it should be boxing. Oh my god.
Yeah, and if you're wondering what the horse looks like, it looks like Black Beauty became a warlock or like an undead zombie and dyed his hair purple.
That's not what it looks like. It looks like an emo horse just had like its phone taken away and it's furious in its room.
His eyeshadow is running because he's, going to cry about it.
It's not a phase, Mom. Right?
All right, next on your list, Isaac.
Okay, this next symbol is something that, to my knowledge, never actually appeared in the show. I can't think of a time we saw it. I can't think of a time that it was on the side of a ship or a mobile suit. And considering how like important this group was to the show, it's pretty shocking. And this is Teiwaz. Teiwaz is bland, forgettable, completely uninspired symbol emblem from Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans. I don't even know how to describe it. It's an upward arrow in gray, 2 shades of gray. There's a white circle. This looks like, I don't know, something that would be on the side of like an elevator at like the hospital. Or something. It's solely forgettable, which is a tragedy because if you remember from Our Blooded Orphans, Teiwaz was this megacorp, but at the same time, they were also supposedly very Yakuza in how they went around things, very into all the rituals and stuff, and ran things sort of like a criminal organization almost, which was such a missed opportunity for their emblem to reflect that and show, I don't know, this might be a little low-hanging fruit, but an Oni mask. A no mask, samurai helmet, cross swords, katanas, naginata, something like that. Something very Japanese since that was their culture and their background compared to Gjallarhorn, which was totally European in how they did things and how they looked. So yeah, very missed opportunity with Teiwaz. And this symbol is just bland, completely not just in colors and tones, but in uninspired design. Brian, what do you think about Teiwaz's emblem?
Okay, so when you sent me the logo, I actually thought, I can't consciously remember this logo, so I think you're right. I don't think it was in the show.
Yeah.
But when you sent it to me, I thought that I had gotten like a 404 error and like the image didn't show up. And so I clicked it, and no, that's actually just the logo. It's like it's 2 gray slabs and an arrow.
I have to load the cookies.
Yeah, I was like, oh, this is, and then I realized, oh no, that's it. That's actually the logo.
That's Teiwaz's logo.
So I'm in your camp. I thought they would have had some sort of more Japanese Yakuza logo type thing. Isaac, I think this is a Norse rune.
What?
Yeah,
it's the Norse word for up.
Yeah, it's a Norse rune called Teiwaz, the 17th rune. It's one of the most important symbols in Norse mythology. It comes from the Old Norse god Tyr, who was the god of war. It represents courage, strength, and victory. Often inscribed on weapons and armor, as well as memorials to fallen warriors. This is according to the mythologymerchant.com. I don't know who they are, but I didn't realize that they had a Norse-based name. That doesn't really make sense based on their background in the show.
Right, and we can all agree the Norse is cool and all. The language and writing is cool.
Right, yeah.
But your symbol should not be a letter of your alphabet in the colors light gray and dark gray.
If they want to use the rune, I think that's fine.
Oh, yeah.
I agree with you there,
God.
though, that this is millennial gray taken to a new level. Like, this is too bland. Like,
Yeah.
Again, I thought it was an error, an internet browser error.
Can you imagine if they took the outline of the actual rune and they just Japanesed it up? There's like a rising sun behind it. There's like an Oni mask and like cross katanas and then like a naginata in the middle. Oh my God. It would have screamed their culture, wouldn't it?
Yeah, or even like, because when you said Yakuza logo, I was thinking, yeah, it could be some sort of, business samurai looking thing. But if they want to use the rune, it does kind of look like a spear or an arrow. They could have someone hold it. You could have a fist holding it or something. That would give it a little more pizzazz.
How did this happen? Are they like trying to hide from like Galahorn? They're like, well,
I don't know.
We're gonna take a Norse letter. See, we're upstanding.
They'll never know.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Brian. What's next on your list?
All right. So I got 2 left. This one might be the worst.
Oh no.
I just think this one's terrible. And this belongs to SNRI, or the Strategic Naval Research Institute. And for those of you who don't remember, SNRI, according to the wiki, is the military research organization established by the Earth Federation in 0093, which incorporates a number of formerly separate institutions and intelligence agencies that specializes in various things. But the Federation eventually adopts SNRI's formula series in UC 111 to make their next generation mobile suits. Basically, it's the Federation's own mobile suit development institute, and they eventually replace Anaheim Electronics. Now, Isaac, this is basically just the letters SNRI in white over a red curved triangle with a white border. It's just the STP logo, Isaac. If you've ever been to a mechanic, there's a company that makes motor oil in the United States called STP. It's basically that, but with the letters SNRI, and actually the SNRI letters even are lazier than the STP logo. The STP logo is a little curvy, has a little more fun flavor, from when it was made.
Yeah.
And Isaac, if you're supposed to be the next big thing, the most advanced mobile suit producer, the new kid on the block, why do you have a retro logo? This logo should be leaning futurist, not retro back to a motor oil company. It's too generic. I don't understand how this design reflects anything about what SNRI is supposed to represent at all. The F91 and most of the Formula series is not red. And then also, if you Google SNRI, it stands for serotonin norepinephrine reuptake inhibitors, which are a class of antidepressant medications. I need some SNRIs after I look at the SNRI logo because it's just terrible.
You're going to need an SNRI after watching F91. Wow, what can I say about this logo? It looks like if you bought like a toy car for a child and turned it over. This would be the symbol of the company that made it. This would be their logo, their brand. It's forgettable, man. Wow.
Very bland. Yeah, very generic.
Yeah, this might be the blandest logo in our entire... Yeah, it is, I think.
Yeah.
In the episode.
I don't see it. Just don't have a logo if you're going to do this.
Yeah, what's really interesting too is we never see an SNRI building or lab or really any personnel except for his mom, but she was in like a lab coat. So they really didn't even need a logo. Ooh, very bland, very automotive.
Yes, retro automotive.
I mean that in the most negative sense of the word.
All right, Isaac, hit me with number 4 or 2, depending how you're counting.
Number 4 should be pretty much not a surprise for anyone to listen to our last episode. This organization kind of has 2 versions, really, of their symbol, and neither one is good. Both are phoned in. Both are just bland. Well, actually, one's more bland than the other, but in general, this is all just poorly done. And it goes to the Zanskar Empire. The Zanskar Empire, as you recall, were the villains in Victory Gundam, and their symbol is the letter Z. Not a Z that looks stylized or has like a snake around it or a dragon or anything like that. Not a Z with wings, just the letter Z. Which is forgettable, bland, and phoned in. Now, you might think to yourself, wait a minute. Wasn't there another organization that had the letter Z as their symbol? Zaft? And you'd be right. But Zaft went about making their symbol so much better. They actually put a sort of angle on the tops and the bottoms of the Z that made it appear like a plant floating in space.
Right.
And it just overall is much more eye-catching and memorable. The 2 Zanskar Empire symbols, one's just a black Z on like a red flag. Horrible. Very bland. The second one, it's a bit more stylized, but you actually never see it in the series. It says Zanskare, has a letter Z, sort of in like a shield, and then there's like some olive branches underneath it. But I'm pretty big on a faction's name not being like the first letter capitalized of their name. That should not be their emblem. Brian, what do you think about Zanskare?
Yeah, I didn't put this on my list because I knew you were going to put it on your list, so I figured I should just not waste the space. Yeah, this one's pretty bad. The straight up like normal Z that's in the show, it's basically just a black Z with a gold border on a red curtain. That one strikes me as something, Isaac, where the animators were just like, just put a Z on the curtain and move on. I don't think that's real in the sense that I feel like by that point, Isaac, they must have just given up and not designed a logo because there's no way, right? You get a more complicated Z if you just use Times New Roman.
Right.
That one's pretty bad. The new one that we don't see in the show, that one's a little more stylized. I see that one. I kind of enjoy that one a little more. However, that one to me seems a little too wacky. Like, I feel like I should see that on a Lego set.
Yeah, or it's I don't know, it's on the back of like, you see it in the background of like a course in Mario Kart or something on a building.
Right, yes.
It's Bowser's Zoo.
Yes, it's childlike, yes.
Yeah, definitely not at all in sync with what Zanskare is, which is a pity because they could have done so much more with Zanskare. As you know, I remember a lot of their mobile suits were very insect design, so why couldn't you just have gone with something that was like a very insectoid type symbol? It would have made so much sense. Zanskare is led by a queen, like a colony. Their troops are all little drones and use bug-looking mobile suits. It writes itself, but no, they just went with the letter Z because who knows how they came to this conclusion. But yeah, very poor overall.
It's just another, nail in the Zanskare coffin of just how we're never gonna see them again. I don't think there's enough Zanskare fans, and they don't even have an emblem to rally around.
What they should do though is a limited run of like a gunplay guillotine you can build. That'd be fun.
Maybe that should be their symbol, a guillotine.
Oh, I'd be down with that. Wow.
Yeah.
A space guillotine.
Yeah. It could be cutting something in half,
power.
I don't know.
Yeah, like a head.
Yeah. Or a colony, cutting colony in half, something. I just think an organization of that stature based on their actions, I think you have to design something that looks closer to the fascist, authoritarian, cult-like organizations in the past. And neither of these symbols do that for me.
Well, into the dustbin along with Zanskare. Brian, what is your number one worst emblem ever in Gundam?
All right. This one might surprise you, but I think you're going to see why. So my worst one goes to the Earth Federation, Isaac.
Oh my God.
I think this logo is too bland, too generic.
Oh my God.
For probably the second most important faction in all of Gundam, right? The wiki says that this symbol was introduced in Zeta Gundam as a symbol of the Earth Federation forces as a whole. However, it was later retconned into the symbol of the Earth Federation government. That's they have two sources cited here. Gundam Officials, page 46, and Mobile Suit Gundam Unicorn Mechanics and World. It's basically the Brazilian flag, Isaac, but they changed the globe. They put some lines on it instead, and they removed the motto of Brazil, and then they added some triforces to the yellow diamond that goes horizontally across.
Sure.
There's two versions of it. There's another one that has like different triangles and looks like a basketball instead of a globe.
Yeah.
One, I think it's too simple. Two, I think it's too close to Brazil. It's not believable that the Earth Federation would all of a sudden adopt Brazil's flag. I get that their base is like near that area, but I don't get it. The Xeon logo is so different and iconic, it makes this one seem very lazy in comparison. Yeah. And the fact that they didn't introduce this until Zeta Gundam shows me that they didn't really have a lot of confidence in it. Because if they had a equal symbol to Xeon, they would have shown it to us in the first show.
I'll kind of go back and forth a bit. On the one hand, they really phoned it in, showing Brazil's flag and then just kind of redesigning it. The argument I read for that, though, was that they really wanted to show the Federation's very much a quasi-banana republic. It's not really a democracy that works that well. The military plays a big role in it, and it just, altogether, it's not the best form of government. It's got a lot of problems. Visually, though, I have to say that it's almost so weak of a design, we almost never see it animated in any series or movies. So
Very rarely.
Yeah, it really doesn't have a lot going for it. Now, that could be just because they prefer showing, the Earth Federation military space forces cross and crescent.
Sure. That's a much better logo.
Yeah, pretty simple. But I read that this was like Earth in the middle, and then surrounding it, those are each of the sides. I'm not even sure,
Okay.
though, if there's the same number of sides, though.
Well, there's 8 triangles, but there weren't always 8 sides. So
Yeah, maybe one of them's Luna. I don't know.
I guess so.
It doesn't work. Yeah, but
Yeah.
I can see it kind of going both ways. But
See,
yeah,
okay.
if this symbol's used, you can't use the bottom one because those are the lines of a basketball.
Yeah. So in the normal one, at least the blue circle looks like a globe based on the latitude and longitude lines that have been drawn. But in
Right.
the alternate logo, they actually just made it look like a basketball. Like what?
No.
What happened?
Yeah, the lines are wrong. They're going upwards and downward.
But here's how I know they don't like it, Isaac, is because in Unicorn they designed a different symbol, and they said, "Oh, well, this was the symbol as of UC 0001, and that symbol is much more impressive."
Let's take a look. Oh, wow.
That is a symbol. So
Yeah.
where'd that one go? I know the answer is that was a retcon. So, but I'm asking rhetorically, like, if you need a symbol to go up against the Xeon symbol, that you need a symbol like the redesigned one from Unicorn. You can't have the Brazilian flag.
Yeah, this one screams positivity because it's very like human potential, upwards raising humanity. It's very UN, like the Committee for the Propagation of Arts and Culture. Or something like that.
Which was the message around Laplace's box, and
Sure.
that makes sense. So maybe you change your logo, but maybe you bastardize that version. But even if you started with that logo as a base, you would not end up anywhere near the Brazilian flag with a basketball.
No, man, I'm still surprised this got so high on your list. Like, was this bugging you for a while? Because this symbol's been around for a while.
I think it was more just the fact that, is it the worst looking logo we've seen? Probably not. But given the importance of the organization, it has to be better than that. It's too bad to be the Earth Federation's logo. I don't know how you retcon it at this point. You can't. You're just stuck with it.
No, although a lot of times I haven't seen it green. It's usually like a light blue or like a gray.
Oh,
you
really?
know?
I've always seen the green one.
Really? Oh.
Yeah.
Well, room for improvement.
Yeah. Just use the cross thing. That's way better.
Yeah. All right, Brian. My winner is one that's no surprise to anybody that sat through our Crossbone Vanguard episodes, our Crossbone Gundam episodes, I should say. And that goes to the Jupiter Empire, which has the most phoned-in worst symbol in Gundam. It's the letters J and E. I can't even find it because you only see it briefly on like one panel of the manga of Crossbone Gundam. But man, what a way to phone it in. The letters J and E. The letters are just the worst idea of a symbol. And say what you will about Zanskar Empire, but they just put Z. This puts the J and the E, which is horrible in terms of like making something recognizable. Like you had to write the name of your government in it, as opposed to just Zanskar. As opposed to just Jupiter. And it's really a lost opportunity too, because with Jupiter as your main sphere and base of operations, they could have done so much with color and the big spot on Jupiter, this giant storm.
Oh, yeah.
They even could have done stuff with like the makeup of the sphere itself, how Jupiter has like 2 moons, I think, and then don't quote me on that, and then they have their own colonies. It was a really missed opportunity overall, and very sad to see great villains in a great story like Crossbone Gundam just reduced to having such a poor symbol as the letters J and E.
I can't even find the panel that you're talking about with the JE.
I'm pretty sure it was in Crossbone Gundam.
I vaguely remember.
Yeah.
But I'm saying it's so obscure that I can't even find a picture of it online. Because, well, for one, not many people have read the damn thing, but,
Right. You have to read the manga because it's on like a banner, I think, in Dogeti's wall or something like that.
Right, yeah.
But it's, God, I saw it and I was like, no.
You can't.
What a waste.
You can't be serious. Okay, what's the headcanon on that? Maybe Dogeti he didn't have enough craft supplies to make a logo out in Jupiter, so he just wrote JE and called it a day.
Supplies are short in Jupiter. I
Yeah.
forgot that. Yeah, you're right. The water's rationed. The air.
Yeah, that is pretty disappointing. Considering, well, I mean, he had time to make all those Divinidad mobile armors. I mean, the dude can come up with a logo, right? Like, put some more effort into it.
Yeah, in a side story we do in the future, Brian, we'll definitely make like an emblem worthy of the Jupiter Empire.
Jupiter Empire.
Yes.
Definitely.
Well, that was it for the worst emblems.
Those are the biggest losers, at least right now.
Yeah.
So, listeners, let us know what you think the worst logos and emblems are in Gundam, whether it's a faction, ace pilot, series logo, etc. Let us know in the comments. Very curious to hear your all opinions. I'm curious, Isaac, if we're going to get mostly people ragging on UC or like other timelines. I'm curious what the perceived worst ones are from. I mean, UC definitely has the most, just volume-wise, so I'm sure that's going to get most of the hate, but some of the ones from the other series are pretty bad as well. But I like your point on Zaft earlier. That Zaft logo is pretty good. I like Zaft's logo. I know it's Zaft when I look at that logo.
Absolutely, yeah. Very recognizable colors and layout. I'm very curious too, listeners, if you maybe completely disagree with some of our choices tonight and that's a logo or an emblem you've loved and you think it's great, it's on your wall. Let us know in the comments.
Someone's going to be out there vehemently defending Zanskar Empire.
My name is Zach, and I'm defending the Zanskar Empire.
I'm going to get a lot of for, calling out Loran's fish. And they're going to be like, how dare you? You not like the cute fish?
Actually, I think all the Brazilian listeners are going to comment like, well, you want to fight?
That's probably true, yeah.
What's your problem? The flag is beautiful.
Yeah, especially the part where I was like, it's not believable at all that Brazil would unify the world.
Oh, boy.
Oh, well. So it goes.
Everybody loves our beaches. Beautiful Brazilian beaches.
And certain things on those beaches. But anyway, so yeah, let us know in the comments, listeners. And Isaac, take us away.
All right, listeners, before you go to sleep tonight, stand next to your bed. Get on your knees, put your hands together, look up at the ceiling, and hail Xeon.
Good night, everybody.